Good evening, Bruin fans, and welcome to another edition here of Something Bruin with Coach Cook and Rashad. How you doing? This is eve before senior game.
Yeah, doing well, man. Battling the weather,
Right.
but we've really made it work in our favor. So doing pretty good. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, and the thing is, we pretty much had nice weather just about the whole football season, football practice, and then the fall weather came, and then this week has been rain here the past couple days, and but hey, ready to kick it off there tomorrow.
Correct. And again, I'm just excited how our kids and our coaches have responded. A lot of our staff have been with me for over 5 seasons. And they're counting like Cook. It's probably 3 times we ever came in, you know what I mean, in my tenure here. So it was the right thing to do. The temperature has dropped dramatically. Didn't want the guys to get sick or under the weather. So, we made the right decision. And, I'm excited to see how the maturity of a off-schedule practice becomes applied in the game.
Right, yes. And so, we got varsity there inside JV. I mean, it's with the weather, JV's game postponed, but they're in just, going over film, learning on what to, do as they got one game next week. And hopefully just to get the full complement of JV games, hopefully they can decide on a makeup game.
Yeah, that's in the hands of the powers that be. Right. If that makes sense. A lot of that unnecessary. I'm not going to say pressure, but a lot of the decision is going to come from Deep Creek side. We're at the mercy of them as they're the host team. But I like to say they're in the classroom, man.
Right.
They're learning the X's and O's. They're understanding, football, and Coach Winley and Coach E are in there breaking it down to them, to a level where they can process it, I think that's the beauty of coaching. It's you got to reach all different ways of life and ways to comprehend for the greater good of 11 guys to be successful on the field. And then obviously the varsity is in a modified ghost game sequence. It does feel like a Thursday for us, the way we kind of broke our 2 Monday and 2-day install practices up. So, tomorrow night is senior night, man. It's a big night for guys who committed and dedicated themselves to high school football.
Yeah, and the thing is here with this episode, we're starting off with what this week is, the game tomorrow. The class of 2026, we're highlighting their tomorrow. And like you've said before, when you talk to the parents, talk to the kids when they become incoming freshmen, you say how the Virginia High School League, gives everybody 40 games, 10 regular season games per year. And, you would like to make the playoffs each year. Well, this class coming in, the success of the football program there with a regional championship and a state semifinal run. Then the last 2 years, but now here they are, leaders here this year.
And, the last 2 years, again, I've said it at our team banquet, last season we started failing forward. The year before that, we were just letting close games and the end of games, slip away. But last year, you seen the guys compete. Now this year, we're currently 5-3. We're the 4th seed in Region 6A. So they're putting it all together. They're revamping the blueprint of what it's going to take for those guys to be successful, not the success that they walked into, if that makes sense. So, extremely proud of them. They've been asked to do certain things that maybe, in a perfect world of injury-free football, they wouldn't have to. But this goes to show the off-season dedication and commitment that so many of our Bruins have put in to be in that I could do that coach mode. Whatever is needed for the team, I could do that. So very proud, very pleased of them. And we're just pushing forward each week.
Yes. Yeah, and we're talking about tomorrow, fans, if you haven't seen or paid attention, I mean, it's good old Deep Creek at Western Branch here, and with reaching out to Coach Arculin, Mr. Brandorf, David and Rick Cox, Coach Jay. I mean, definitely a lot of history there between Deep Creek and Western Branch, all the way back to when Western Branch started.
Yes. And for me in my era, the little bit of research I did, in the 80s and 90s, it became a big thing. And I think you mentioned that there was a high school that discontinued, right? When Deep Creek had a rivalry, and Western Branch and Churchland had their rivalry going. I believe it was Craddock. I could be wrong. And then in the 80s into the 90s, it became, a big deal. Western Branch versus Deep Creek. And, the 80s and 90s also is referenced as one of, in the early 2000s, one of the games that was the last game of the year, but it drew the biggest crowd of standing room only, And Deep Creek had a number for some time, but Western Branch figured it out. You know what I mean? We finally got it right. But, a lot of great coaches. It sounds like a lot of cross coaching too, right?
Yes.
It sounds like some of the names that you shared earlier. They were Bruins coaching for Deep Creek or vice versa. Go ahead.
Well, I know that the principals, longtime friends, and then, Coach Arculin shared how, two of his assistants, one went over to Deep Creek before David was the coach, and, Coach Jay over here, and then yes, David and Ricky Cox, graduated here from Western Branch, but taught and coached at Deep Creek, with David being the head coach and Ricky being his assistant. And I'm sure that had something to do with the rivalry and then also the location. I mean, Bowers Hill, yes.
And not only that, but the offenses, I think, were very similar, right? So, Delaware Wing T finest, man, made the best man win, but Deep Creek also had some good defenses too. Western Branch has had some great defenses as well. So it's just, it's the rivalry that is the rivalry, if that makes sense. So, again, we meet each week, but the biggest thing I keep hearing us say is, this game, you throw out records, right? That's almost back to back to back. And, that's the Southeastern District for you. That's what it's always been. The one thing I do want to kind of take a step back, because we never have anything all the way script, or at least, all right, moving on, is big thank you to everyone who came out for homecoming, near and far, everyone who traveled. What a crowd! What an atmosphere! Even the officials said, "Man, this I like it here." One of the officials, and what I told them was, we try to make it a family atmosphere. It's a high school football game. It's for our high school community, but you still want to have balance because our community supports not just Western Branch football, but all sports. But I just thought last week was definitely electric. Just with the atmosphere, the weather. All those things that came with it. The crowd was in it the whole game. And very proud of our boys too. I believe our offense put up another 400-yard rushing attack with two backs over 100 as well. But, again, not to get off script, and we definitely could get back to Deep Creek, but we always, got to show love. To our alum,
that's right.
To our school community. Go ahead.
Yes, I mean, the thing is, we talked about it, at the beginning of the season, where some classes thought at first that the homecoming game was the previous week, so some classes met, that weekend, but even with the homecoming game being last Friday, I mean, the parade, and it looks like that the pep rally is, when the weather cooperates, is outside, not in the commons or in the auditorium.
Absolutely, and that's a big shout out to everyone involved. I don't want to name one name, but that pep rally was pretty cool, you know. And again, the kids were engaged. Our students were engaged in every phase of the pep rally. But I think it really starts at the top with Mr. Close. Without his approval, without his vision of seeing, the school community being able to do certain things, it doesn't happen.
Right.
And that also speaks volume of the people you trust underneath them. So without a doubt, I think that's taking a high road without individually singling out anyone, with a big shout out or thank you. But what a day, what an opportunity for us to see our community, line up. We don't do the full parade, but we do at least the first quarter of it. So just to at least see, our fans in our community, our students, our alum out and, just excited about the parade and seeing Bruins in it. That's pretty awesome too. So that was a week, right? We had a good week, and we have Deep Creek tomorrow night, and Coach Swine does a phenomenal job, coaching his kids hard. Again, I think a week or two ago in one of our other episodes, they took Indian River to the wire. You know what I mean? So it's not a game where we think it's just going to be an easy opportunity for us. And the rivalry is definitely being embedded, into those Hornets, just like we've been talking about, our expectations, our standard in the rivalry of Western Branch High School versus Deep Creek.
Yeah, and going back to, Bowers Hill, I mean, there was a friend of mine that I grew up with and Coach Thomas grew up with, and he went to school with us, but with living in Bowers Hill, he played rec basketball at Deep Creek Community Center.
That was around the corner, man.
Yeah, right.
That's how close it is, right?
Right. That's right. But and then also, Coach Twine. I mean, just the the connections here that even as you're leading Western Branch, he's leading Deep Creek. Just here it is, and they're fighting for a playoff spot. I know we're district game, but them with being 5, us being 6, so hey, it should be a good one tomorrow, and I think the weather's gonna cooperate here after breakfast tomorrow.
Correct. That's my understanding as well. Not sure if wind is going to follow it. That tends to dry things out a little quicker, but I feel it has held up well. A lot of the middle school games have been moved to next week. So that's going to help preserve it. And then our JV team had an away game with us having a home game tomorrow night. So that really just allowed us to allow the field to breathe.
Right.
You know what I mean? Versus trying to get out there and get a modified ghost game and it's soggy and all that. So yes, but the field has done a great job. That's a testament to our field crew, our paint crew, and everybody else who's, contributed to make sure the field was one of the best, and it's getting there. So I'm excited about how it's held up all year.
Yeah, and then also, when you think about these two programs and you think about the alums over the years, and the Cox brothers, when they sent me a text, they brought up Darren Perry and Dion Dyer. I'm sorry. And then on our side, you got
Everybody.
yeah, right, right, not leave one person out, but and then with on to college, the Hokies that had both Western Branch and Deep Creek alums, and then UNC had a couple, from both of these high schools. So I
think it's safe to call it Chesapeake U, right?
That's right. That's right.
Chesapeake U.
And Coach Jay, when we reached out to him, he even talked about with growing up in Great Bridge, before Western Branch opened up, and then Mr. Brander, said that once Western Branch opened up, it's been Western Branch and Deep Creek there on the Bruins and Hornets schedule.
Correct. I think 95, right? We talked about that a lot. That was a game for all the marbles, for lack of better terms, But that game, man, it was cold as all get out. It was cold, and Deep Creek came in. We had a good fight. We did lose a lot of guys, coming into that game. Don't want to name any particular names, but a lot of young guys had to step up. Carl Washington, myself, Keith Burnell, we had Darrell Walton at quarterback. He was the kind of vet in the backfield, but you had a lot of young guys around him, if that makes sense. And even on the defensive side, Brian Clemens and all those guys had to really help fill the board of some of our seasoned seniors or vets that, normally would be in a good alignment. But at the end of the day, Deep Creek won. They won big that night. We lost in 96 to them in overtime. So that was kind of like, okay, we're getting close, if that makes sense. And then in 97, we ended up winning, and that was, I think, Coach Jay's first district championship, but more or less first undefeated season. And he always coins that as golden season. To go 10-0 is not easy. Right. He's been 8-2, 7-3, 6-4, 5-5. And then coming out of that, it's the same 9-1, things like that. But I think after that 97 year, man, it was back and forth. Right. Deep Creek, Western Branch, and I'm not sure, so I don't want to misquote any years, and then I get a text. So, but I do know Western Branch was very competitive, right. Beyond that 98, 97 team, if that makes sense. But, we're excited. It's about the Bruins, the current group, and the boys that have recently played them, coming out of COVID and whatnot. I believe we're 4-2 versus Deep Creek right now, coming out of COVID. In that COVID spring, they won. And then fall of 21, we won. Fall of 22, we won. Fall of 23, we lost, I believe, or we won. And then fall of 24, we lost. I can't know. Last year we won. Because I think I mentioned they beat us on homecoming.
Right.
So
right.
I think I made a quote. I'm not gonna re-quote it, but we got one back, and now here we are today. Getting ready to play a quality opponent, and our boys are prepared. And again, it's about Western Branch, right? So I'm excited about our guys and the growth and maturation process that they have shown, Mark.
Yeah, and the thing is the first 3 games, winning streak, and then in the middle of the season, meat of the schedule, and then here the last 2 games. It was Great Bridges homecoming, so a road game for us, long halftime. They answered the bell there in the second half, and then with that memorable drive, and then last week, yes, your own homecoming can have a distraction, but definitely to be in control there from the kickoff. And let me give a shout out to Miss Duncan and the chorus department. Yes. I mean, I'm a varsity singer along.
There you go.
So they basically, after the pep rally and the parade, the national anthem there by the Western Branch chorus department, maybe that needs to be a new thing,
It's just like, it's what we see on Monday Night Football, right? From time to time.
That's right.
But yes, I heard them. I wasn't physically out there, but we were at a moment of transitioning, and we all paused. We always want to give honor and respect to the American flag and the country that allows us to be who we are. But yeah, that they sound very good. I think my wife recorded it, and I saw it later. My niece is in that group, if that makes sense. So that was pretty cool. So shout out to Gabby Cook. But yeah, so all in all, that goes back to the atmosphere, right?
Right.
That's not a traditional Friday night. Normally it's the national anthem and bring the Bruins out, right? But we had a special. We had a very special treat put in where they sung the national anthem. So that was pretty cool, man. But yeah, so all in all, we're on the back end. Time is flying.
That's right.
Time is flying. We tell our seniors all the time, man. Again, I've said it before, so I kind of sound like I'm repeating myself, Mark, but enjoy it. At some point in time, those cleats will be hung up, just like the coach's whistle will be hung up and the clipboard hung up against the wall, for the next coach to come in. But you got to enjoy these moments.
Right. Hey, and, just a little tidbit here to enjoy the moments. I mean, you bring up that undefeated season, there, you and Keith's senior year, and the other Bruins there for your class. But I wasn't really up here that much.
Right.
And you talk about enjoy the moment. I mean, I was starting my shipyard career.
Right.
And then fast forward, here we're doing this, and and you're leading this program.
Man, time flies, right? Time flies. But you got guys like Coach Black and Coach Winley that have been a part of district champs titles, and they wear their Letterman jacket and their patch is proud. So there's so many Bruins that have come through. That's why I say it's eras. Every 4 years, an era, regardless of who deems talent being competitive or losing the level of competitiveness. I think everyone who has come through here have solidified their mark in history, if that makes sense, man. So at the end of the day, I really, really, Mark, value this opportunity and this leadership role. I'm very thankful for, the opportunity to lead not only our community, but Bruin alone, as a head coach. And, those guys believing in my goal, my vision, my path, my philosophy. But it goes two ways. I also trust them, know. And Mark Didewick said this, and I'm going to repeat him. Sometimes you hire good people and get out of the way, right? So, at the end of the day, for me, the guys that we have on the staff are good people, right? They know their stuff. So to me, micromanaging is a disservice. Right. Trust is everything, and that's something I've always pushed for.
And Mark's gonna listen to this episode because we have a way of reaching out to him.
Nice.
But I think fall of '97 was probably his first year as athletic, first or second year.
Right.
He did come over here, after I graduated. Can't really remember whether it's the fall of '96 or fall of '97.
Okay.
But Mark Didewick was the AD there during that undefeated season.
Yes, he's the guy.
That's
he's the man. So I remember him. He knows me very well. I knew him very well. And it was kind of the changing of the guards. Right. And it's like the guys, just like coaching, you want players to believe in you. You want your students that as an athletic director, you're going to lead to believe in you and buy in. And for us, I pray, Mark, we weren't a headache, I hope we did all the things you needed so we were the least of your concern. But even back then, our track team won state titles in '96, '97 under Wade Williams, like back to back.
Right.
So, he walked into a winning program, but brought a winning aura as well. Right. So it's not all us. He also added something to the table to put us in that alignment, with that support. I can't remember either. He made quote, he was either part-time in '97 and then went full-time in '98, or he was either part-time, meaning transitioning from Churchman Middle or wherever, to Western Branch in '96, and then in '97 it was full-time. Man. So I'm not sure. So I think no matter what, I can hear him now. It doesn't matter. Hey, both of you guys are right.
Hey, if people text us, that means that they're listening to this.
100%. But what a great man.
Also here another. I know that we brought up Coach J, Coach Arculin. But I also heard that Mr. Gaines was on campus there cool. last Friday, and Coach J and Coach Gaines, former coaches, and you bring up track, Coach Gaines there with our track team.
Gotcha. Yep. So just a lot of guys came out, and that's what we want. We want the community to come out. We want alums to come out. I always tell the guys, man, we got to take care of our house because we got Bruin, alums that can come in anytime, right? So we always want to make sure it's inviting. And I think the more that they see yesteryear, the more they understand what the future could look like, but make it their own, if that makes sense. So when I took this job, Mark, I had a philosophy. It still hasn't strayed away, but we're bringing a 90s mentality while meeting the kids or meeting these young men in the 2020s.
Right.
And I think that's a good even balance of, giving you a little flair of who we are and where we came from, but still, adapting and adjusting to who you are and where we are right now. And so that's been very big for me, even with a self-reflection of, am I getting too old for this? Right. You know what I mean? Am I just stuck in the old school and not, being able to relate and connect and things like that? So, and a lot of boys laugh at me when I try to get into their world, but all good, man. I love these young men that we get to work with each week. And, for us, we're looking to just focus on Deep Creek. We know we got another big game the following Friday. This one is on Thursday due to Halloween. All Chesapeake schools that are hosting a game will play on Thursdays. So there are some Chesapeake schools that may travel to Suffolk and play on Friday. I'm not quite sure the dynamics. But yeah, so all in all, again, Deep Creek rivalry is big, and it's something that, and I can hear Coach E saying before you even came to Western Branch, you knew.
Yeah.
You knew. And I'll be honest, it started with me with Parks and Rec. Like in '91.
Oh yeah, Pop Warner.
Yeah, Deep Creek Cowboys. You know what I mean? Deep Creek Eagles. So for me, you understood. You had respect for guys, but you kind of knew real quick. Right. All right, this just not a little Parks and Rec game. Hey, we're trying. We either trying to win or they are definitely trying. So and then the transition to the middle school level, and then when you got to high school for the guys like me that played JV and then got moved up on the back end, or a guy like me that was a sophomore varsity player and you've seen it. You walked into it. One of my memorable moments my freshman year, Deep Creek, I was on kickoff return, man, wearing number 28, flying down the field. I don't think I tackled anybody, but we were at Deep Creek, and it was just like, man, it was real. It was real. Dre, Sharon, just all those guys out there competing, all the old linemen competing. So what a good atmosphere. To me, I'll be honest, and I don't want to get long-winded, but that's like playing against Clemson, in their heyday as a freshman. It's like welcome to football royalty, man. Right. So for me, being able to get in that game, if nothing more, just on special teams, it gave me something to look forward to and hold on to going into the off season and then transitioning back into the summer condition.
Yeah, and then also, another mentor of ours and, somebody that was a student athlete here at Western Branch, part of the coaching staff with Coach Jay, and then, Coach Soccer here, and then has come back with you since you've been here, but Coach Bright, yes. And he's also a good one to have another example of showing the tradition here to the current team of Bruin football.
Correct. And when he speaks, everyone listens.
Right.
That's the beauty of Coach Bright, and he's been around this program, around the school community for years. Right. So we have our moments, and they're not bad. He'll bring in his programs and all those things, and we're going through years of newspaper clippings and programs, and it's pretty cool. Going down the time capsule, if it makes sense. And the way he has to unravel certain newspapers is like, Cook, this might be on his last leg, but it's like from the 70s, or early 80s. But he is everything we need. He's everything we need around these young men. He's the balance. He's the balance for our coaching staff, and again, Coach Jay has been a part of this staff, and when he wanted to do some other adventures, if that makes sense, and rightfully so. Been coaching for a very long time. That was an opportunity opened up for Coach Bright to be able to come in, and he's been with me, I believe, 4 years, if not 3, and it's 3 great years that we've all had. Not only did he coach me, he coached Coach Black, he coached Coach E, all these guys, Coach Winley, all these guys. If not Coach Winley, he's been around campus while Coach Winley was on campus, and to me, again, those are the guys you keep around this program because they're the ones that have the history, tradition, and understanding where it all started.
Right.
If that makes sense.
And then where we shared a couple episodes ago, Rick Corey, not only has he been a follower of the team, but then, he stopped by and
Yes.
just, shot the breeze there,
History.
Yes.
History.
That's right.
I love it. I love it. And to me, I don't think the guys, and I don't want to offend anyone, but I think we need to see and hear more of the 80s.
Yeah.
Of the 70s, right? We know the history of the 70s and winning district titles and all that good stuff. But, I think the more that those guys are still around, they deserve their flowers, like everyone says, But it was awesome for him to spend some time. And it was kind of unique. Like, I'm not going to stick around long, but they say, it's like, man, I got to get out of here.
Right.
But that's just how genuine, how refreshing, and how fun, having Bruin football talk, just going down memory lane. And I'm learning and hearing stuff that I didn't know, if that makes sense. And I also feel like there's another time period of the probably mid-2000s, the 2010s, up to about the 20s, that we got to do some more digging and research, and even the 04s all the way through. So that's on our people, right?
Yeah,
our
that
people
is.
in your people got to do some homework.
That is, and the thing is Ryan Pond.
Yes.
He checked in with me last Friday. I know that I had a family commitment and and on the road, but there's no matter what year you graduated from this school, or just people want to know how we're doing, and here we are, last home game there tomorrow, and like Coach Cook said, there is one more week to the regular season. That will be next week, and with varsity having a road game next Friday, JV will have their last home game there next Thursday, because today with varsity hosting tomorrow, today was supposed to be a road game. Well, Rashad, I'll let you get back into the final few minutes here of varsity practice, but go Bruins, and come on out. Gates open at 6 tomorrow, and I remember, parking at a friend's house in Silverwood, or over in Deep Creek, parking at a friend's house over there and hitting the back gate, or parking at Deep Creek High School and walking across George Washington Highway. But let's pack the stands here, and Rashad, thanks again for your time, and go Bruins.
Absolutely, man. Go Bruins.
All right.
All right.